it's starting before I actually get going. Today, I'm going to be reviewing a lovely Bronze 5 support gameplay. And I'm going to hear myself in a second because I didn't. Alright. So I'm going to be following the Lulu, and I'm going to be trying to help decide what you should have done throughout this game. Um, a lot of supporting at even low elo is setting up for proactive plays, so that way your team can be a little more decisive in certain situations. Hopefully that they'll be aware enough of the map to not take stupid fights whenever you present them with that information to know it's a stupid fight. But it still happens sometimes. So in the start of this game, it's always good to get vision early. You don't know what the enemy team is going to do, and your Fizz is walking up here, and you're stopping here, and your AD carry is in here. Go and get a ward on this Tri-Brush, so that way you can secure your jungle. You don't want to make it so that we can get invaded. It's so easy to cheese early at every elo just by walking in here, and if someone's doing this, it's an easy kill or flash or something, and that changes the way that everyone can play the game. So always try and get vision out. If your mid laner isn't here, you then are going to ward over on the Tri-Brush and stand where he is. That way you can provide this vision by yourself. And if you walk over like this, you'll be able to generally see if they're walking up in time, if they're running immediately. I also only turned on this team's vision, blue team's vision, your vision, so that way I can show you where people should be and what I'm thinking throughout the game of where they should be, and then I'll see if I'm right or not, because sometimes I'm wrong. I go by where people should be, not where they are, so keep that in mind. And before we even start the game, I'm going to go over win conditions. So, team comp, we have a Vayne, we have 2 supports, and we have a Fizz and a Kayn. Okay, so generally, this team has a terrible team fight and has a lot of really powerful skirmish. So you're looking for these fights where people are going to be rotating between objectives. You're not looking to siege anything, and you're looking to play with vision and get just the part of the fight that you want. This team has terrible siege. Everyone's short-ranged, and the only way you're going to get something is by rotating correctly. You were asking, like, later on, what you should have done late game in this situation. Well, because of your team comp, you can't just ARAM mid like a lot of teams like to do. That's not going to work with your team. So, the enemy team comp. Well, the enemy team has some pretty goddamn good team fight. And it's got a Swain who can tank forever, and an Ornn who can tank forever, and a Braum who can tank forever. Shyvana who's probably going to be dealing damage this game, and Tristana who's going to be dealing damage. Because of this, you got a lot of problems. Your Assassin-y team, with a Vayne I guess, is going to somehow have to deal with this Tristana, and it's going to somehow have to deal with all of these frontliners too. The Fizz and Kayn aren't going to do too well in general into these other champions that they have here. And the Vayne, if the Braum plays it right, can't really get to the important targets either. So what should you be doing this game? You should be focusing on getting one person split pushing, having 4 of you group, and having you rotate where you can, playing with vision to important objectives. That means you can either rotate to where maybe the Bard's split pushing. Obviously, he shouldn't be the one split pushing. Your Fizz should be doing it later on. Or you're going to just really hope that you can catch someone at like Baron or something. You're going to be trying to bait this. So, build-wise this game, you're going to want to make sure Vayne gets the Grievous Wounds item pretty damn soon. They got three things that can heal quite a bit. They got Tristana's lifesteal and heal. They got Shyvana's heal. They've got this Swain. So you're going to want to tell your AD carry, because even at every LO, people forget to build that item. Tell them a couple of times throughout the game, hey, build this item. So that's everything you should be thinking before this game even starts. Win conditions, what you should be doing in the first 2 minutes of the game, getting your ward out over here and walking over here where it's safe, and what you should be building and where you should be, right? These are things you should be thinking before the game even starts. And see, the Shyvana walks up, but we had vision over here with the Fizz, so she couldn't walk up all the way. Now, walking up to this ward, a problem a lot of people have is they ward unnecessarily. So, walking up to get this vision, you got to think about what knowledge you're going to get with this vision. Well, you already knew the Shyvana was here, and we had vision advantage over here, right? Where the Fizz was. If you had just sat in these bushes, you could have baited a fight out maybe, or you would have just been safe. You didn't need to go and look for this ward, because looking for this ward, you took unnecessary damage. And what if they were all here? See, they weren't, but what if they were waiting in this bush for you? Think about that. Like, Braum has that super easy stun. They have slows. Doesn't matter if you think you're in a safe position. That Braum slow, that stun, Tristana could start fucking jump. A lot of things could happen. You don't need this ward. So already, you're warding unnecessarily and you're not on the right part of the map. You're not paying attention to your vision over here, and you're getting vision where you do not need it. Now you guys are just posturing. Oh my god, he took a lot of damage. So, in lane, your positioning is pretty good. You're making sure you stand ahead of your AD carry and you're looking aggressive, but you're not playing very aggressive in any way that you need to be right now. You're not helping rush level 2, and you're not forcing them off the wave, and you're not auto-attacking them. Even though you look like you're posturing well, you're not actually doing anything in this lane right now. Just take a look back at this lane. Do you see how the Vayne got that little bit of damage? Well, you didn't. You need to be seeing that too. Look how you're playing back here. Now you're walking forward. See how scared they are? That's good, but you're still not doing anything. There you go. See that? That auto attack was free, right? This whole time you could be looking for that. And you guys got to at a slower pace. Again, you weren't auto-attacking the minions. Whenever you're not doing anything like that, you're just leeching experience. Now you come up and you auto the wave once. I think that was accidental. Okay. That's good. That's good. Alright. So, mini lesson here. 3:30 is a very important time. 3:30 is whenever the jungler, around 3 minutes to 3.5 minutes, the jungler finishes his clear in a standard clear and is looking to gank either mid or top. So let's look at their vision. Okay, well, their jungler recalled and your jungler recalled. I don't know why both these junglers are recalled. As I said, where they should be, but not necessarily where they are. Um, what it should happen around now is the jungler should be looking to gank either of these lanes. And what that means is you should be very aware of when you next see their jungler, because that tells you when you need to ward and when it's safe to ward. Okay? So right now, we don't know where she is, and we're watching for where she would be, showing up either top or showing up middle. Neither of these lanes look very gankable, so I would just be assuming at this point that she's going to keep farming. And if she's going to just continue farming, that means she's going to be around bot side at probably 5.5 minutes. Let's see. Okay. So I'm guessing at this point you did not have a level in your W. Uh, as Lulu, you should be trying to get a rank in each of your abilities before you try and max anything out. And if you're maxing something out on Lulu, it should be her shield. I noticed level 1 you started Lulu's Q, and you didn't even like use her Q. You want to be starting that shield. Not only would that help your jungler take slightly less damage during the leash, but it would make it so that way you just straight up win trades. Let's put this into context of like Orianna mid. Orianna mid, if you start shield and you just go and auto attack the enemy, that ability trade, you have like 80 extra health, you auto attack them twice to do 100 damage, and they auto attack you twice to do like nothing because you have your shield on. So look at that trade right there, right? They do no damage and you do a little bit less, but you do damage. That is little bits that add up. So in a context like this, starting Q and you didn't even use Q throughout that early part of the lane, you could have started shield and just won a trade because they didn't do damage to you. You did damage to them. And your Vayne goes AFK. You also should be trying to help last hit. A small mechanical thing. Like right here, your AD carry has no way to get that minion, and you are not doing anything with your auto attack. You could get that. You could have helped her get probably 100 extra gold up until 5 minutes. And you know what 100 gold means? That's either an AD carry sitting in base or overstaying. So it could be game changing. It could win you or lose you lane by just getting that 100 extra gold and making sure your AD carry isn't an idiot. I overstay. I do this shit too. And then your AD carry keeps going AFK. Alright, you got that polymorph off. Did you Q yet? Alright, that's interesting. Um. Alright, well, if you were watching my argument earlier with 5.5 minutes, right? 5.5 minutes, let's just go and I'll see if I'm right this time. 5.5 minutes, Shyvana's bottom. Right? And of course you go straight to Dragon, and I wouldn't have been warding Dragon in this game. I don't think that I would have done this if I was Shyvana. But it works out, which means that it was worth the risk, and you know, good call then. But yeah, that's an example of how you can kind of predict where the enemy jungler is. And you Q a bit early here. You're looking at her Q only for the sake of damage when you should be thinking about it also for the sake of crowd control. See, now that she's chasing, think about if you slowed her while she was under tower. Think about if you slowed her and she was still chasing this, right? That could have potentially been an extra tower hit, and that could have potentially gotten your Vayne out. But using the Q for damage made it so that way you didn't get the crowd control effect. Mm. Gotta help last hit those. Gotta help posture. Right now, you have health, your AD carry doesn't. You know what this means? This means that you're straight up going to either lose the lane or you're going to be the one giving aggression. So right now, you're just standing behind your AD carry, letting you guys just slowly fall apart. You really need to be playing up into auto-attacking this Tristana, because this Tristana doesn't really have a good response other than auto-attacking you back, and you know what? You have a shield! And you have Polymorph! Lulu is a really annoying lane bully if you play her right. And you're not using her auto attack nearly enough. You're not shielding yourself to go for harass. And you shield your AD carry pretty well. I'm gonna give you that. You're not helping with last hit though, and that's pretty big. Alright, they got all those. Nice. So, let's see. I Another little thing that you can start doing to predict where the enemy jungler is see on this mini-map right here, it went gray. Now, whenever this is yellow, that means the enemy jungler should be there. So since it's gray, I would be guessing that they're finishing their clear on this side of the map and are going to the other side of the map. So right around now, I would be looking to start playing a little bit more aggressive because you can. And the only thing you have to worry about is this Braum. You play way too far back. Way too far back. Look, you even have 3 potions still. Oh my gosh. You really do need to work on your lane aggression. You have full health, full mana, and you're playing so far back. For a way to like practice this, I would be considering every time you can't pick up a coin, like the mana coin, you need to be dropping everything on a harass exchange because you're not using your resources. And look at how close the Tristana is to dead. If you start harassing her, you could force recalls and you can get items earlier, which means you can get a pink ward for this, which means your jungler could gank, which means you could win lane. So right now you're really putting your team at a disadvantage by playing so far back and playing so scared. You need to step up a little bit. Okay, that worked out. Okay, little side note, you want to make sure this gets pushed in. You're so close to pushing it in, you just need to push this in. Push it in. Even if you have to stay by yourself, but ideally, you ping the wave and your AD carry stays. Because that's so easy to stay for that little bit of extra time, and you get the gold and assure that it gets to tower. And if you were following my argument earlier, you knew that the Shyvana should have been on the other side of the map because of the yellow marker on the minimap. Let's see, recall. On your first recall, you upgrade your gold item, you still have your 3 potions, and you start rushing Ardent. Okay, buy a pink ward. That's a really simple addition to what you just did, and you didn't do it. As support, you should probably be thinking about having a pink ward down and a pink ward in your inventory 100% of the game. And that's just so you can keep a pink ward here, and whenever you need another one, you have another one. So that's not even going to take too much extra gold. And this little bit of mana regen stuff that you got, you don't even use abilities, so that's not going to do anything for you. You need to be just looking at that pink ward. You can have that pink ward down, and at least that's doing something. Um, whoa. What's happening here? Okay, you just gotta leave the tower. That's super duper done. Alright, well, I guess that worked out, but I would have left the turret there. Alright, so something that you should know about the game as well is about adapting to what the enemy just did. So earlier, we saw Shyvana soloed this dragon. I would be making sure at this point check your inventory right now. 2 trinkets that you have a trinket down on Dragon, because look what she's about to do. Easiest prediction you could have made. And it's just about noticing what people did moments ago. I didn't watch this beforehand. I just knew what she was going to do because of what she had done. She soloed the dragon earlier whenever she did not have an advantage. Well, fool me once. You know that expression, right? Fool me twice. The second time, it'd be your fault. First time, it's, a cheeky play, it worked out. Second time, you didn't adapt. Alright, so you see what you're doing right now? You're recalling. You just got kills, you had a little bit of lane priority. Why not just walk over here and drop a ward? Look at the Fizz. The Fizz is way up here and available. You guys could look to get these kills. You didn't have to just recall here. You didn't have to, give up for no reason. And then they get the Drake. And as an aside note, I really don't think Drakes are that valuable. I think that most Elos overvalue dragons because of what they're used for. I bitch about this every time I do a review, but dragons give you the potential to get an objective later on. So if you have the opportunity to get an objective, it is always better to just get that objective. What is the point of health regen, mana regen, damage to turrets, and mobility? Everything, right? It's so you can get those objectives. Stay in lane longer so you can get the objectives. Do more damage to turrets so you can get the objectives. And Infernal Drake is kind of iffy, and also Air Drake is kind of iffy. In my opinion, Air Drake is the best Drake, because it sets up for really good rotations. But even still, I don't think it's ever worth, just dying for. If you have to flash the wall to try and steal it, it's not worth it. Just give up the Drake. You'll see a lot of people at different Elos don't even respond to the Drake anymore, and it's because it's just not worth it. But, it's a Shyvana, so you're letting her stack up, and you are giving up free kills, potentially, free pressure on the map. Okay. So in this note, like you had that problem earlier in the game, right here, okay, look at the map. Do you see where they are right here? Earlier, in the very first 2 minutes of this game, I said, why are you warding right here? You already know what information are you going to gain? What are you going to be able to do with this information of warding here, right? Well, in this point in the game, you're not going to be rotating down here anytime soon. Not anytime soon. Your Vayne split pushing it is a pretty good idea, but if you're going to be split pushing that, you're going to want to ward like right here. At this point. You're not going to care about the river. You're going to want to ward like right around here. So, watching them here, right? Watching them, what do? Well, they don't show up on this wave. You're on this turret, and look at that! You back off and you start going for this ward because you know where they're going to go. Well, then answer me this. If you knew where they were going to go, why do you need to ward it? Curiosity killed the cat is also another expression. I'm just going all the way into expressions today, aren't I? But you don't need to be here. You already knew they were walking that way. And again, it works out, but it shouldn't have. Okay, well, there's half of it not working out. Okay. So, good. So you see Shyvana over here. I don't think this is your ward. And you see Ornn over here. You see Bard's pushing still. You have 3 people. They have 2, but they're full health, and you're not. Okay. I'm not sure if I would look for this fight unless Bard came down, but I would bait it. Because the longer they stay here, the more time Bard potentially has to get this turret, or Bard to come down, right? There's 2 options. So I wouldn't be looking for this right away. Okay, your Vayne has pretty bad positioning. She gets out, though. Bard misses it. You need to be watching your positioning pretty hard. You're kiting super far away from your team. You need to be right next to your Vayne. And even though your Vayne's, getting a little bit out of position, you need to be able to shield her, and you need to be able to polymorph, etc. Whoever's going to try and kill her. You're not going to do that from way over here. I know Lulu has really short range. You're not going to do that. So you zone yourself out of that fight for part of it. You didn't get to shield her until after all of the damage was already done to her. Okay, your Vayne's hunting for kills. This is a really big problem. Ping, fall back, fall back, fall back. And ping this turret. Ping on my way, ping this turret. Right now, you have every reason to be going for this turret. And losing the Vayne to not do damage and run over here looking for kills, almost like an 80% chance she just dies by herself. And because she doesn't have heal, and she's really low. And there's almost an 80% chance you just straight up get this turret. Because they had to have people walk away. Now the Vayne comes back late. Do you still end up getting it? Nope. See that little bit of extra time? And my argument is always, if you feel like you deserve to climb, that means that you should be the one making decisions and you should be the one shot calling. Because otherwise you're just, following the people at your rating. No matter what rating you are, if you think you deserve to climb, you need to be using pings. So ping this turret, ping fallback, get this turret. That little bit of extra time is right here and it shows you didn't get the turret. And, nothing really happening. Okay. So, gonna go a little bit into state of the game and win conditions again. So, right now, the only thing your team can do is respond to this aggression right now. And you do have a pretty good look at this fight because the Braum is over here. You know they used some things to kill you guys earlier, like the Braum's ult isn't up. And I guess that's all that they really used. But you also have positioning, right? This is a pretty good fight for you guys. So let's look back in time. See the Vayne? Vayne's walking mid, you're walking top. Lulu asking for assistance. Okay, that's good. That's what you want to be doing. Your Vayne's not listening to you. Sometimes your AD carry does that. She changes her mind and starts coming over. Okay, good. Everything's working out right now. You're kind of not in a good spot, but you're also in the best spot. It's just your team's not there. You fall really far behind, and there's no way you're going to catch up to your team. So at that point, I would just start pushing the minion wave. Because this turret's still not gone yet. Okay. Yeah, and look, if you push this minion wave, it'd already be at turret right here. Then you could dive the Braum. But you're looking for this turret that you should have gotten earlier. Lulu does not need to be split pushing. I know you wanted to get this objective, and a lot of the times I will agree with going to get objectives, But there was a way for you to go and get objectives by just clearing this minion wave and getting it up to your team. You'd then still be with your team. You'd have a minion wave here. You'd have gotten 2 kills, and you'd be able to push this advantage even to another turret. And honestly, the minions alone were probably going to get this turret. It was a huge wave. Let's see. Ardent. No, I guess it'd be pretty risky. So right now, your team still has this outer. You've gotten 2 inners, and well, you've gotten an inner here, and you've gotten the outer, and you've gotten the outer. Okay. So you keep losing dragons in the same way, but the next objective to fall that's going to hurt you is Baron. And you guys are walking over here to look for this fight, and this is a problem everyone kind of has of looking for fights when you don't really need to. Um, right here, your jungler's dead. You're kind of at a disadvantage. The Fizz gets a pick off, I guess. Is that what happens here? Yeah, okay, that's what happens here. Okay, I actually would have looked for this too. And since the Shyvana is still up, you cannot look for Baron right now. Actually, yeah, I think I would look for Baron here. I think I would. Because you still have shields and your I think you still even have your ult. You have Ardent. Vayne is pretty damn fed. She can melt that Baron. Bard has heals, and even though he's building ridiculous, he still has heals. I think I would be looking for Baron. It would be really hard, and you'd have to damage juggle, but this at least would bait out some important people's deaths. Because if you look at who matters on their team, I guess that the Swain is the least valuable, Braum is the second least valuable, and Ornn is kind of a threat. So you killed one of their threats. Right now, though, look for Baron and put Vision on Baron. You're pushing mid, and although I do think that pushing mid is a good idea, it's only a good idea if you can dive it, and your team isn't coming. So let's look. You did target that. Vayne pinged on the way. Is that... When did she ping on the way? Wow. So your team just isn't responding to that. Okay. Well, sometimes your team just doesn't listen to you. Yeah, but as I said, was only going to be a good idea if you could dive it. See, you didn't get the damage here. You're not in a position to get Baron anymore. I don't know why your jungler is not either grouping with the team or looking for Baron. Hmm. So you really are not polymorphing priority targets. You're just polymorphing off of cooldown. If you had your polymorph up here, you could have polymorphed the Shyvana. Instead, you polymorph Ornn, and you polymorph the 1 and 7 Swain. Or not 1 and 7, 0 and 7. And imagine if let's see this fight a little bit differently. In prioritizing targets, right? Look at what happens to Kayn. Look what happens to you. Do you see that this all happened because of Shyvana wasn't polymorphed? Really simple. And look, if you had both of you up still, that is the freest Baron you could have gotten. So think about that. Think about that. Prioritizing targets. You need to work on your lane aggression, last hitting, like helping your AD carry last hit, and you need to know how to not ward places that you know they're going to be there. I'd be rotating top here, not bottom. because this gives them Baron priority. Fizz has teleport though, and you Sightstone above this. You don't really don't need this item just yet. You don't have Sightstone, and you don't even use your trinket. Maybe that's why. Um, but you have no wards on Baron. You have not bought a pink ward this game. You haven't used your trinket in like 10 minutes. This is a huge focus of the map. Huge. And besides that, what is Fizz going to teleport to if you guys fight? Nothing. You don't have anything here. And that's because we didn't have any vision partially, but also because Vayne overstayed. I'm going to give that 20% no vision, 80% overstay. We really shouldn't have been looking for this inhib at that point in time. A lot of mid posturing, nothing happening. Still no Sightstone. But you put down your trinkets. Nice. Alright, cool. I don't know if you needed 3 people for that, but you might have. Going mid is the right idea right now. You had pretty good positioning that fight to help your Vayne. You dying there is no big deal. You didn't even die. Yeah, you got out. Nice. You played that fight pretty well. Let's see what could have happened, though. Let's see. You're not auto-attacking this. Do you see how close we get? Let's see. I don't know if your auto attacks would have made the difference here. Um, but I would have gone for this. I would have. And I think your Vayne kiting further away was a little bit too ballsy. You did do a good thing by following up with her, though. Because she was really strong, and she could have potentially won that, especially with how it started. I think that you did start it, not you specifically, but your team started it too early. You could have gotten the inhib first. Um, yeah. Let's see what you did with your polymorph way back here. Way back here. Alright, let's start this by saying your Ardent gives attack speed, so you could be shielding the Vayne right off the get-go to give her the attack speed to kill the inhib. Who did you just... I think you did it on Shyvana. Yeah, you did it on Shyvana. That was a good idea. You ult the Vayne, you shield the Vayne. Okay. So, this fight, I think that you were trying too hard to help everyone. You need to be looking at what your win condition is for this specific fight. You have a 2 and 3 Kayn, a 3 and 3 Bard, and an 11 and 1 Vayne. Now, one of those should jump out at you. So, for starters, once again, you run away from your team up here to dodge the ram. If you think that you're, spreading out so that way they don't hit it into you, then just stay like in the ram and take that 100 damage so that way you're not going to be at an angle to get hit with it, but at the same time you're still at an angle to heal and support your team. You didn't shield right away. Be walking over to the side with Vayne here. I would have redemption that. But if you were walking over to the side here, you would have gotten another shield off on this. You would have been able to polymorph the Tristana. And if you polymorphed the Tristana would have died. And if the Tristana died, it would have extended Vayne's ult. You then could have turned on a Shyvana. Yeah. You're not focusing on what your job is. Right here, your job was to keep Vayne alive. And you see how she ended up dying? She died because you were focusing on your team, which, you know, sometimes that's the right idea, but it's not your win condition for that fight. Your win condition was keeping Vayne alive. The rest of it didn't matter. And let's see. You got one trinket up. You know they're going to do dragon. I would be leaving this and getting a ward on Baron. Because, as I said, it's not worth dying like that. And now you had another one die. And another one die. Alright, let's see how that happens. So you're dead from being somewhere where you shouldn't be. Vayne is trying to push up alone. She AFKs again. And she dies. Okay, that's how she dies. Okay, so this fight, you don't auto attack. You do polymorph, but I think you polymorph late. I would have polymorphed the Tristana way sooner. You ult a very good time, and you shield pretty well. Your positioning's okay, but you don't auto attack. So let's watch this slowly. Let's see. Shield. At this point, he's out. I would be shielding this guy. You polymorph. I heard Delightify. Wrong target. You don't need... He already blew his cooldowns. You're not looking at cooldowns. You're not looking at priority targets. Think about if you polymorph to Tristana here. Look at that damage that the Tristana did. She'd be polymorphed. And if she was polymorphed, she wouldn't have been able to jump here. If you had that one extra auto attack also, that would have been enough to kill them before she got her ult off. I don't know if your redemption just came up, but okay. So now you get your inhib, and you get top turret, right? I would stay for this. Auto attack it. Oh my god, no. Auto attack it. Okay, good. Top turret. Nope. Okay, recalling. And you got your Sightstone and your yellow trinket with 2 wards. So I think this should say something. When you have 5 wards in your inventory, that's a huge problem. You need to make sure you either trade out your red to a red trinket because you never use your yellow. And, like, actually, no, that's not the answer. You need to do that anyways, but you also need to ward. And you need to ward proactively. League of Legends is like a game of chess. You can't just think about the move as it's happening because you'll lose the game. Everything about this is setting up for the next move. And what your next move is, at this point in the game, let's think. You just took mid inhibitor. They're going to have to keep someone mid to respond to this. So that means you're either going to want to Baron quickly, or set up so that way you can bait Baron and rotate to the top turret. Those are your 2 easy things to be focusing on. Top turret, Baron, right? So what does that mean you need to set wards up for? The jungle so you can get your pick. a pink ward on Baron so you can make sure it's secure. And you know what you do? You just walk straight back here, almost dying. You had a free time to go and get your wards off. And look, that's a red ping on the minimap saying, hey, let's do this. Because that's their way back into this game. And I see it on the thing. They got it. Right around here, they got it. How does this happen? Tool. I would be staying for this too. You don't need to tank that. You need to be auto-attacking this. You need a redemption sooner. You need to be auto-attacking the Nexus. Yeah, okay. So then they go and they rush Baron. At this point, I still think that you've won the game. It's not that hard at this point. Um, but if your question is how you close out this game, well, you have to wait out the Baron, and then you probably just need a group mid because you don't need to worry about other lanes anymore. They have no Nexus turrets. Just kill the Nexus. And you have a pretty good gold lead, and your money's on the important people. But your problems this game is your team fight is actually pretty bad. You're not polymorphing priority targets, which means you're not watching cooldowns and you're not paying attention to where your team is going. You're always kiting away from them, in fact. You don't auto-attack in team fights. You don't auto-attack minions. You don't auto-attack in lane. You don't use abilities in lane. You start Q and you never use Q. You need to use shield a lot more. You don't ward at all. Like, at all. You need to buy pink wards and you need to get those down early and keep one up. Your build is like you prioritize the wrong thing. Redemption is good, but it's not better than Sightstone. And I know you don't use Sightstone, so maybe that's the reason you don't build it, but that's not an excuse. You need to use it. You need to use Sightstone. That's kind of like taking, Flash and not using it, or taking Exhaust and not using it. I'm sure you've done both of those things before. But it should be just as impactful. You should think, oh, after you don't flash whenever something hits you. You walk into a bush that isn't warded, you should go, oh, why didn't I ward that? It's so simple. But if it's simple and it's not on your thought process, that's something you need to put on your thought process. Make sure you go down this mental checklist of things to do. You have actually pretty good pings. I would ping a little bit more. In general, it seems like you know where your team should be, but you don't always get the response you need from it. You don't auto-attack as much as you should. Again, I'm going to mention that. It doesn't matter what role you're playing. It's a little bit of extra damage. And if you want to look at the Immortals game recently, I think it was Immortals, but like they won by one auto-attack. The Janna hit... No, it was Fnatic. Fnatic got the last hit on the Nexus with just a Janna auto-attack. And that shows you how easy and how important it is. You got this really close, and you could have been auto-attacking it. And you could have shielded the Vayne sooner, so she could have been auto-attacking the inhibitor. You could have been pinging this, so you could have been auto-attacking the turret. You also need to learn from what your enemy is doing and adapt to that. Like getting the wards on Dragon. That's something that you didn't do this entire game, but you didn't ward in general, so that's part of it. But your posturing is good, and your general shot calling is pretty good, especially for your rating. You just need to make sure you keep wards down and work on your team fighting and auto-attacking. Auto-attacking in lane on CS, auto-attacking in lane on enemy champions, auto-attacking objectives, and watching priority targets. That is probably the biggest team fight thing you can do because your polymorph you're using on the tank after he blows all of his shit. That is fight throwing stuff right there. Uh, all right, well that's it for this review.